especially in this capitalism society where you're constantly trying to achieve a higher level of status.
Yeah.
And no one's satisfied, including billionaires.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Yeah,
exactly.
which is just the nuttiest thing of all time.
I
right?
know.
It's like,
Right.
what is the point? You won the game.
I know.
The game's
Like,
over.
spread it out, man.
The game's
like,
over. You should, like, you have this crazy opportunity with all this money.
to help so many people and
Yeah.
lift up like all of America. And anyway,
Also, why are you still just chasing numbers
right.
in a ledger? Because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've got lost in this weird game.
I actually cannot comprehend that. I cannot comprehend
I
it.
wonder if you could if you were super wealthy.
Maybe.
Yeah, and if you went down that path. The thing is, the one thing would be if you were super wealthy by some divine intervention, or someone just gives you money.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
some crazy billionaire who's like a telepathy tapes fan. They're dying, and on their will, they say, "Listen, Kai, you seem cool. I'm going to give you $2 billion. Like, what are you going to do with it?" Yeah, it's different. But if you went and tried to earn it, and so
Yeah.
your whole life you were focused on these achievements,
Yeah.
like I want to have a this and a that, and I want to be important. I want to be able to influence political parties, and I want to be able to fly in my private jet, and I want an island. You know, you get crazy.
Yeah.
And then you never have enough because
Right. You want more and more.
Yeah, and then you're around people. Like we were talking the other day. Also, my friend Brian has a friend who's worth like $3 billion, and he feels poor because he hangs out with these guys that are worth $50 billion. And I'm like, that's so crazy. But that's the world that you live in when you're only thinking about numbers on a ledger. You've gotten caught playing a game.
Right.
You're playing poker. You have chips. You know, this is all just quantifiable. It's numbers.
Well, none of it matters, too.
Yeah, it
So
does not
who
matter.
cares? Like,
Also,
you're just
here's the
gonna
real
die.
number. You got 100 years
Right.
if you're lucky.
Right.
That's the real number.
Yeah.
And if you're 60 and you're fucking
Right. Yeah.
like, you're almost at the end, buddy.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Well, and I always think about like the impact you're going to leave behind. Like, what's your legacy? Like, you had a big boat. I mean, who cares about that?
Right. What does that mean? You know, are you going to be the person, well, when he died, he had so many things. I
Yeah.
aspire to be like William.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are like that. And they think about old, dead, rich people, saying, boy, he really nailed it. He killed the game. You know, and that's the thing that they have focused on, unfortunately. This is the problem with financial institutions because they're like, if all you're doing is trying to acquire more money, well, that's your game.
That's
and
your
your game
game,
is
yeah.
just do that.
Yeah.
And then as you get bigger, you eventually reach a point where like, hey, you kind of control everything. Like you control natural resources, you control land,
Yeah.
you control building, housing,
Yeah.
transportation. You have everything. This
It's
is
so weird.
not good for everybody
Yeah.
else. It's not good for everybody else for one entity to have so much power and only be concentrating on numbers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from. I mean, I guess if you grow up really rich, maybe that's it. Or maybe
don't
if you
think so.
grew up without anything.
It's a competition. It's a subversion of what it's initially supposed to be. It's like when you put mandates on officers achieving a certain amount of arrests in
Right.
a month.
Right.
Or even arrests in general, right? Or prosecutors, right? What is a prosecutor's goal? To win.
Right.
They
Right.
there's the competition. The
Yeah.
competition is I provide evidence that
Right.
this person is guilty. The defense
Yeah.
provides evidence that he is in fact innocent.
Yep.
And we sort it out. And if you're just trying to win the game, well, then you're a corrupt prosecutor because then you withhold evidence that might exonerate that person, or you don't allow DNA, or you don't.
Yes,
And there's
yeah.
a lot of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I work with a guy named Josh Dubin, who's a friend of mine, his whole thing is freeing people that are unjustly accused.
I love that.
And just because of this podcast, a bunch of people are free right now.
Wow.
And the shocking stories that you hear about corrupt prosecutors,
Yeah.
where these guys get caught, and it turns out there's hundreds of people rotting away in a cage that are
Yeah.
innocent because of this one corrupt person.
Jeez.
And because they played this game of just trying to win.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the same game. It's the same game of acquiring numbers, whatever you're trying to do. If that is what your game is,
Yeah.
your game is just numbers.
I mean, it just makes me wonder if like people believe there was more, right? Like if it wasn't just like you've got this one shot and you're just going to here and like tackle the numbers and be super rich and whatever, like would making a difference and because it does feel like, yay, oh, Pollyanna, like we're going to just, yay, love each other. But if you really believe that there was something more, right? That like you had a higher purpose here, that you were more than just your body. I think if you believe that to some degree, you're going to act differently.
Yes.
You're more focused on difference than acquiring numbers of money.
Yeah, it's just hard to get through people that are completely lost and obsessed.
Yeah.
When someone is like say a gambling addict, for instance, they're very hard to get to.
Yeah.
Because they're completely lost and obsessed with this thing that they become addicted to, which is all numbers.
Right.
Gambling is just all thrills and wins and losses and numbers.
Yeah.
It's all just, I bet 100,000 on the game, and I'm like, if I think I got 5 points on the spread. If they cover the spread, then I win, and then I'm out of the hole. And then it's this roller coaster ride. And so it's very difficult to get to those people that are lost in whatever the game they're playing is, whether the game is gambling addiction or financial addiction. Whatever it is, if you're lost in a game, it's very hard to get to those people, especially if they don't have love in their life.
Right.
And so if all of their status is acquired by numbers, by achieving this and pulling up in the brand new Mercedes and wearing the fine suit and having the expensive watch or whatever it is that your thing is that you want to show up with. And there's, in this world, this especially today, there's all the lures and trappings to pull you into that. And you can never get enough, You can get hand created this and, rare that and a limited edition that. Oh, did you get the new one? Oh, and then, you're lost.
It's just, it just doesn't fill you up. I think it empties you out more, really, in the end. So.
Right. But what it does do, oddly, is it promotes technological innovation. So keeping up with the Joneses and materialism, one purpose that it does serve, oddly, is this constant push towards newer and better things, which I think is also part of the purpose of human life in some sort of a strange way, is that we are pursuing technological innovation above and beyond everything.
Yeah.
If you could see us objectively, if you could see us outside of culture, outside of language, if you were an alien race and you're observing this weird species, what does it do? Well, it keeps making better stuff. That's what it does. It keeps making better stuff. It puts all of its resources into making better stuff, and it's obsessed with acquiring better stuff, even though it has a finite lifespan. It never recognizes, or rarely. It's an odd and beautiful thing when someone recognizes they have a finite life.
Yeah.